So this is a Warner Brothers and DreamWorks joint production. Yes, it's an.
I now know that's not nice when he does this because that DreamWorks. You're not funding the Dream Team, buddy.
That's right. Yeah, thanks, Steven. You went and found Stanley Kubrick's old incomplete movie.
Can we share this victory with anyone else, please?
So this is an Amblin / Stanley Kubrick production. Now, AI artificial intelligence. You like this title?
Yeah, I mean, especially then, that would have gotten my attention. This just wasn't a term we were throwing around all the time.
But why AI? Like, I think it's deliberately evoking ET.
Oh no, I think that you couldn't just do AI. Now they would just call it that, but I think people literally did not know what it meant to be. Why not just call it artificial intelligence? Is what you're saying? 'Cause that sounds stupid.
Or AI. Why?
Because they didn't
both?
know what AI meant. They had to use the second part.
Okay.
And I think it sounds bad by itself. Artificial intelligence doesn't sound good.
But isn't it? So you don't think it's like knowing that this is going to evoke ET and people are going to go in thinking this is a movie about a nice lady and a robot. It's going to be like ET.
I don't think it matters. I think that one doesn't stand alone because no one knows what it means. The other doesn't stand alone because it sounds stupid. Together, they sound interesting.
Okay. But this movie is very in dialogue with ET as well.
Yes, Matt.
We'll get to
I
that.
get your point.
Okay.
I take your meaning.
So we hear a narrator, and this is Ben Kingsley narrating. Ben Kingsley reuniting with Steven Spielberg after Schindler's List. We don't know that this is an actual character, though, narrating, and he's the robot from the end of the movie who's telling us this fairy tale. But yeah, the government is, this is kind of like how Red Dawn opens with like, there's been an invasion of the Crimea and a grain shortage, and all this stuff has led to this. Well, in this world, there's been climate catastrophe and hundreds of millions died, but it's not been so evenly distributed. Lots of poor people are dying, but rich people are doing great. But the government has restricted pregnancies.
Because land, anything close to lots of land has been taken by the sea, so it caused overcrowding everywhere, which of course always disproportionately burdens people who can't pay the sweet, sweet money. And they're just doing a genocide by saying, no, you literally have to apply for a license and pay to have one kid. And who can afford that or has the lawyers or the process. And so they're just breeding out unwealthy people.
And this is a PG rated movie. It doesn't say the second part, the implied part of that declaration
castration?
of like, so wait, how do they enforce that? Imagine what they're doing to enforce that.
Oh yeah, they definitely have some sort of like chip that they get at birth, and it's like you get to remove it if you pay.
So this is a very, very fucked up future that you don't totally get to see. You're seeing it mainly from the vantage point of pretty privileged people.
Very privileged. So the size of their pool.
And then some pretty privileged robots.
Like, I knew that it was funny that his last name is Hobby when you think of how... So Professor Alan Hobby is who comes up with this whole idea to have an AI child. But in the first little fucking, what do you call it? Prose, whatever. His speech in the beginning... You're clearly thinking of all the things he's not thinking. He's just thinking, what would be cool? What would be exactly fulfilling my needs right now is this thing. So it's interesting to have his last name be Hobby because it's something that he's just like fiddling with. He's not taking it seriously, but that his first name is Alan. So he's literally treating everything as a hobby. That's his name.
And I guess Alan Turing,
Alan
maybe it's
Hobby.
Alan period Hobby.
He's a hobby. Like that's his... It's not just hobby. He's doing things as a hobby. That's his name.
Oh, gotcha.
Sorry.
And this is William Hurt. And I think William Hurt's very good in this movie. He's haunted William Hurt as he often is. But he's kind of a Steve Jobs-esque, like,
yeah.
I'm just the ideas guy. I'm just going to throw out a bunch of philosophical stuff to a room of admirers. And they're going to take my ideas and run with them. And he's like, what if we made an AI child that can love? Isn't that the real secret? Isn't that really the difference between an AI and a human? And then one of the people says like, well, basically what the movie's about, like, well, what do we then owe that? What is our moral obligation to them? And then doesn't that make us God, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, that's what this earlier part of this opening section is. And then it jumps 20 months later, they've done it. They made the model.
Is it ruining anything to say what's already happened to the professor? I guess so.
We can say it.
Well, I mean, he's already lost a child, and that child's name is David, and he looks just like the robot they end up creating. But like, this guy's famous for doing what he's done. So much so that while he's in this crowd of admirers, the people who are going to do his vision, they're clapping for him. So they know he's lost a child. They know the whole time they're working on a replacement child for this man, but they still get the funding, or they still get the, like, there's no one in the room. Like, maybe this is like the wrong guy to
then
be
you
leading.
don't get to work there.
Okay, fine.
But that's why I think this is kind of a Steve Jobs, like you develop this sort of cult of personality and cult of a type of employee who's so devoted to the mission and the.
Fine, but Steve Jobs didn't just lose a dog that was in the shape of an iPod right before he decided to invent the iPod.
Steve Jobs named a computer after his daughter,
who's
and then
alive.
denied. I mean, but like, I think you're like, no, but he's a genius. Like, he has his reasons.
Let him make his child. It'll help us too, maybe.
The child is Haley Joel Osment.
You know what, though? If they're trying to control population, how does putting a bunch of fake people out there help that? They're still in the fucking way.
No, because they don't eat food.
Oh.
And they don't drink water.
They drive cars.
Those are the things, like, they don't consume the resources. But this is like the capitalism creates the problem and then comes up with the solution that isn't a solution at all.
Right, okay.
It's like, okay, we have a hole in the boat. The hole in the boat is that the world is dying because we're using too many resources. Solution will create something that uses 1/3 of the resources, and you'll pay us a lot of money for it. Okay, good. Oh, and then it's also going to create all kinds of other.
Thank you for explaining capitalism. We can go on with this scene. Sorry, I have too many tangents with this movie.
Haley Joel Osment is the child, and he's like a prototype that they've selected our main, couple who we're going to spend some time with, because the father of this family works for this company, and they realize he has a child who is in suspended animation from some unknown illness. And we first meet these parents, Monica and Henry, Francis O'Connor and Sam Robards. They go to visit their son, Martin, who's in a suspended animation pod. And the doctor comes by.
At a hospital.
Like,
this is just what the future of hospitals looks like. People visiting their pods because no one can let go. They're all just waiting for the right medicine to happen. And if you have enough money, you get to freeze your loved one instead of letting them go like everyone else has to.
Yes. And the doctor says, like, Martin is merely pending, he says. And I think that it's interesting. Like, what is, when science is involved, what is natural? You're keeping the child unnaturally alive, but then eventually you're able to come up with a scientific way to remedy him. But he's like artificially alive in the same way that David the robot becomes artificially alive. Just kind of interesting. But basically, because they've spent so much time hoping that their kid will recover, she hasn't like gone through the
proper levels of grief.
Yes.
Right. She's grieving, but isn't allowing herself to. So she's becoming more and more rigid.
So she needs somewhere to put her grief. Oh, I know, a robot.
But the robot's alive.
She needs something else to love. And so the company decides this will be the perfect family to send our prototype to. So they do.
Someone with a little bit of tragedy.
They do. They send David, the little Haley Joel bot, to their home. He walks in and he says, "I like your floor."
Okay, but that's after he explores that one of them makes a noise when he taps his foot and the other one doesn't. So that tells you a lot, which is that he's learning. Mm-hmm. He's discovering the world. It's like he's like a newborn that can talk and be perfect. But he's going to grow as you watch him.
And what do you think of Haley Joel Osment's performance?
I mean, he's magnetic and haunting and unreal looking. He's unreal looking in the same way Jude Law is unreal looking. They seem too perfect to be real people. Mm-hmm. And so they perfectly worked as robots.
Yeah.
As mechas.
Both of them also never blink. You will never see them blink in the movie.
I did not notice that.
It's so intense. I didn't want to point it out because I thought you'd focus too much on it. Wrong again about Lacey.
I learn and I change. Much like this robot.
Yeah, I think this is an incredible performance. It's his best performance. It's so sad and tragic and also scary and otherworldly, but also very human at the same time. But these early parts of the movie, when if you're seeing it for the first time, what is this movie going to be? It's fucking shit scary as hell with him in the house. I think it's so. I always love, like, I love in the movie Ex Machina, there's always like the moment where you're starting to get to know the robot, and that's always so creepy.
Yeah, because you don't know this isn't a horror movie except for that Steven Spielberg, but I guess I always just think of him as just being very innocent and not creepy. I think it's funny that she has to like work around him with her housekeeping, and he's just always there, and he needs to be given input so he understands what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, I would really
go play in my room. Okay, she's not giving any. She's being silent. So she's not treating the robot the right way because you have to teach it so it can learn.
I identify with her because I'd also be bad at this. I don't like to be noticed. I don't like to be followed. And I don't like to talk, so I wouldn't know what to...
So you would say all that so that the robot could learn your likes and dislikes.
My dislikes are telling you to do stuff, so just figure it out on your own, please. But she's a little creeped out because this is this like getting to know each other period. And if she decides she wants to keep him, then she's going to do the imprint. And that's when it's like, no, you own him forever. No going back from there. But we get a few minutes of quasi-horror, quasi-comedy where Monica is chased around the house by the little robot. He comes in on her while she's taking a shit and reading a book called Freud on Women, a reader.
A shitter reader.
And this movie also, especially these scenes in the house, look like Minority Report with the sort of extreme beams of light, the very washed out sort of bland future look.
A lot of glass.
Uh-huh.
Well, but I don't know. This house has a lot of character. You can tell they're well-to-do, but I love the imagination of what a kid's bed would look like, and just different. Everything rotates for some fucking reason. Her coffee thing rotates so she doesn't have to reach 3 inches further to get the coffee from the other side. And then at another point, she's sitting next to a table where something only 3 inches away rotates to her, and it's like, okay, just a lot of lazy Susans. For these lazy housewives. Yeah,
you're right. Even in the screenshot we're looking at, there's more circles, more circular things than just the bed.
The bathroom's a circle. The tuffet's a circle. That room is a circle. Everything needs to spin or be circular.
Production design by Rick Carter, I believe. Yeah. He's also like just sort of staring open-mouthed in fascination at everything, like watching the two parents eat, looking at her make coffee.
He's learning.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know. They decide they do like him, so they're going to do the imprint thing. And I mean, like, how does that work? How do they imprint on him? Or how does she imprint on him? Very
specific instructions unique to each doll. You place your hand on the doll in a specific spot, and a doll is just easier than saying robot. And then you say, just like your AT&T password for your internet, it's just like 3 nonsense words it's 3 words that together mean nothing. Yeah, anyway, it's like 7 words you say, and then the way you know it's worked is by he stops calling you by your first name, he calls you mommy or daddy or whatever, whoever he's been programmed to imprint for. I found this to be a challenge to me, because does that mean that if the dad decided to, he could also imprint on the child? Also, if you've got siblings, I don't understand why does this child only get to love one person?
I don't know. Yeah, that's not answered.
It's not.
Or would you be able to do both? I don't know.
But, or will it like break the, like, you know, like Teddy when he was being called by both boys.
Yeah.
He's just like, he's like shorting out. So maybe they only have the technology to make the robot love one parent, but I do not see that working out at all for most couples. That's crazy. That's a crazy fucking concept.
But then it's like, but like early products do sometimes do that. You're like, but wait, this is functionally useless. Like, that's incredible what it can do, but
these AirPods can only pair to your iPhone. What about my iPhone? You can't share them.
And like while they're making it, like, no, but it this child loves. And you're like, yeah, it loves me.
Right. It's true. They are being tested on. So they are supposed to find the problems. One of the problems, the dad keeps wanting to have it destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Problem.
As she's saying the imprint thing, you see Haley Joel Osment's face change totally. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly he stops speaking in the super enunciate, I like your floor. And now he has the whisper Haley Joel haunted Sixth Sense voice.
Yeah.
What were those words for, mommy? So it's not just that he calls her mommy, but his entire demeanor has changed. And she hugs him, and now she loves him.
She doesn't. But she never says it. She never says she loves him.
I didn't say she says she loves him. Now she loves him.
I was just letting you know.
As we shall.
That this little boy bot does not know that she loves him.
We get a few minutes of them being happy, and now the mom has a little bit of pep in her step. She's happy to go out with her husband. And there's this thing with the, she has this really expensive perfume that apparently there's not much left of in the world.
It just doesn't exist. Yeah. Like, I mean, this is the way they show you kind of how the world has changed. So I guess when they got married, you know, you never, it's like we learned with the formula shortage, you never know what plant's going to shut down and it's going to stop production of something you didn't even think of.
Right.
So clearly she had a perfume that just is not available anymore, but her husband just is raptured by it. When she wears it, she wore it on her wedding day. So they let you know, like, when this bottle is done, we have it no more. I don't know if my husband will love me anymore. Anyway, the bottle and the scent are important to both of them.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is a world of scarcity.
Yeah.
And consumption in our relationship to like just the products we buy and use to build our identities is changing.
All the more pressure on that one kid you get the license for, you know, and for your kid to be tragically killed early or need to go into an ice cube thing. Like, you're not going to get the government's not going to let you have another kid.
Mm-hmm.
You've wasted the good surprise on that kid or whatever. So, I mean, it's like a double tragedy to lose your child early. It's more just about the scarcity of these well-to-do people's resources. Even these people can't have what they want.
Yeah. Well,
this is also when when David learns that his mom will only live 50 years or, you know, approximately. He's all like, you can already tell the angst inside of him, the scary feeling he's feeling of like needing this person. It hurts immediately to watch.
And it's the reverse of what most kids do, which is like, wait a minute, I'm going to die. Do you not think most kids have that realization before my parents are going to die?
No, I was always terrified of my parents dying. It's like I realized at some point how much I needed them. And then I went through my scary phase, which was when I was like 8 years old. And I was always worried. I didn't want to let them out of my sight. Probably because I never had both of them in my sight ever because they're divorced. But I didn't like my mom to go on a plane. I didn't like her to go on rides without me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
drives. There's definitely them first. I don't think it ever occurred to me that I could die until it did.
That was just my specific experience. I remember learning I was going to die and be like, that's not right. That's Jesus wouldn't allow it.
Check that math.
Check the math. But yeah, well, how long will you live? She's like, I don't know, 50 years. And then she leaves him home alone with Teddy. We didn't mention Teddy, this amazing animatronic who's a sort of semi-AI.
A super toy.
A super toy.
This is the moment too where she casually mentions that, okay, when we leave, the house is going to go smart. And that means you'll be locked in your room. But it's like, would you treat a real child this way? Just lock them in a room? But also, good on you for knowing we would use the word smart.
Yeah.
We're bad on you because there's nothing we're calling super stupid. Like, what a super toy. That's so dumb. He's a super toy.
I think it's a brand. I think it's
Yeah, it's dumb.
one word. I think it's like
dumb.
play school.
It's stupid. It's dumb. But very cool to make something that is mechanical shortened to mecha.
Mm-hmm.
It's just,
I think, this is why I love great sci-fi. I think works like this, where the world is vast, the implications are amazing, and you feel like you're only scratching the surface of the details of this world and the things that they make you think about both this world and about your own world and what it all says.
Mm-hmm.
But Teddy is like, he's like a quasi AI, like he's limited, but also seems very, I don't know. It's hard to describe like how smart he's supposed to be.
It's kind of rubber band reality. It seems like he's kind of whatever he needs to be for the movie. I don't know that it totally makes sense, but he's just this comforting thing. He's a teddy bear, right? Like he comforts us. That they literally could not put a boy that age in a movie alone. Mm-hmm. He had to have a teddy.
And like
I don't think the audience could have taken it.
And you're right. It is a relief that he's there, and just to hear his voice, his weird little haunted voice. But he has sort of a single-minded programming, which is I'm devoted to David in the same way that David is single-minded in his mission to find Monica later in the movie. But when the parents leave David home alone, this is the first time we stay with David's perspective. The camera stays with David, whereas up until now it's been from Monica's perspective, and now we're on David's side. And he's like, says to Teddy, "Is 50 years a long time?" And Teddy says, "I don't think so."
Teddy's been in a closet for 5 years shut down.
They're both
infinite.
They're both infinite, right? But it did occur to me, like, it would be nice to have a kid who, when it's bedtime, you could just be like, all right, off.
Yeah, I know. And this is the part that I know this wouldn't work. This is no one would want this. Having a kid is hard. Wondering what they're going to turn into is the part that you strive for. You're good to them so that they are good later, or are healthy, or I mean, you're creating someone who's going to go out into the world. You're given a robot that will be this age forever, who will do anything you say. When you don't have a kid and you don't even have a pet, you have something that none of us have ever had. And there's no end goal. He's a teddy. That kid is a teddy.
That's what makes it like that's what makes him not human. But in the same way that heaven, when you get to be reunited with your loved ones, those aren't the real versions of your loved ones. And this isn't a real child, because real children grow.
Everything's just a new. Everything's just a self-soothing device. I'm just saying, in the beginning, when Professor Hobby is speaking all grandly about what he's going to do for the world, and it's like, you're not, though. That's not. You just made a giant cigarette. That's all you did. You just gave someone a vice that's really expensive.
A cigarette that has needs, and that
right.
and that we owe.
An e-cigarette. No.
Well, okay. Can I ask you philosophically, if we made AI like, do you think AI, like that exists in this movie in David, like, would deserve political and civil rights?
I think it would be completely inappropriate to make anything like this. I think it is the most cruel thing you could ever do.
I know, but if you did.
Yeah. If you're going to build something that's human-like and can feel human things, absolutely they deserve rights. They do not deserve to be treated like robots. If you made a cat who could genetically speak, you would then owe that cat what you owe people, or anyone that can express what it is that they like and don't like.
Right. And I think this movie's getting at that too. And I think that's why when it brings in Martin, we're showing that there's not that much, like, there's no actual description of what a human is that makes it more deserving of rights, of ethical and legal and political rights.
And that's exactly why there's a flesh fair. And it's exactly why there's white supremacy. There is nothing inherently scientific about what makes this less than this. So we got to make it a cause. We've got to rally around it. We've got to get people really angry about being replaced, because we do not have a credible stake.
When Monica, when she knows, like, if you return David to the facility, they're going to destroy him.
Which is like the only relief I get in the entire movie. I just keep wanting him to be destroyed. He would be at peace.
I mean, that is murder. Like, I get
it, but it's torture to give a learning thing a desire it could never actually obtain, which is not true of humans. You can change who you decide to. You can fall in love with someone else. It might take time, but you can do it. This robot cannot.
Yes, it's an itch that you can never scratch. No amount of love could ever be enough, and you have the programming that basically can't be overridden. In life, you can you could lose somebody you love and find things to distract you, and eventually you get over it and move on with your life. But if that is literally how you're programmed, you can't.
You should be destroyed. And also, they don't know what they're creating, and the drive that they might be creating to the drive that this artificial thing could have to achieve its goal, the things it could do that you can't plan for it to do. Crime, and which it does. He does commit crimes. Violence, which who knows? But I mean, it's just so dangerous. And it's the way I feel about Toy Story. I feel like those toys, once you write on their hand, once they write their name on your foot, or not even that, you're just making these things. That the thing that Jude Law says that's just like so. That's what I get tattooed on me, is that they made us too smart and too fast, and something says a third thing.
They made us. God, I know it's so good. They made us too fast, too smart, too quick, and too.
No, it's too smart is first, or maybe it's too fast. But the point is, this was probably Spielberg understanding that like computing technology is not like slowly getting better. It's like doubling each year. even when this was made, that's probably, and it's also probably why they make such a big to do about him taking that Professor Hobby taking that like square out of the robot's head to show off how small they were able to make this thing, right? Because at this time, computers are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So like this is really happening when this movie was made. So there's a fear, like, where is this going? We're going so fast.
It is. So the quote is, they made us too smart, too quick, and too many. We are suffering for the mistakes they made because when the end comes, all that will be left is us. That's why they hate us.
And humans, because they're human, think that the thing they need is to be infinite. Where if you were an infinite thing, you'd realize this doesn't feel any better. It just feels different.
I want to be infinite, though.
No, you don't. You want to watch everyone you know die?
We disagree about this. Yes, I'd find new stuff. Because you'd change. You'd change into a new person.
But why do that?
Because, there's stuff to do. You don't want to live forever.
I want to die when you guys are dead.
But if you all didn't die, I don't know.
I know for a fact there's not another kid I would like better than the two that we have. I've been around plenty of them. No thanks. I like the two we have. And there's not another partner I want. I have nightmares all the time about you dying or me accidentally divorcing you. Like, I know where I'm supposed to be.
I know you think that, but you'd have a lot of time to find out otherwise.
I don't want that time.
I know you think you don't want that time.
Whatever.
And this isn't a possibility, so it doesn't. Yeah, I don't know. But when I know people are like, I'm just very much like, nope, keep me alive as long as it takes. There's a lot of movies I got to see. There's a lot of stuff I want to do. Keep me plugged in, please. So, yeah. Well, it turns out Martin, the comatose son, he's okay. They brought him out of the coma. And now they've brought him home and things get awkward. This is kind of like when Helen Hunt, when Tom moves on and marries a new man while Tom Hanks is at the island and then he comes back.
It's just like that. I don't know. Like it's like so many moments of like The Good Son or something. I just keep waiting, like, which one of these boys are going to go fucking feral? I don't know which one, but they are both creeping me the fuck out. But I mean, very clearly Martin is the one that's like, he's not in perfect health. He's not in perfect condition. He can't walk perfectly, but they have a perfect son.
Yeah.
And they replaced him while he was gone.
And my mom seems to like him better.
Or like him. They have memories and they have a routine and it's my stuff and he's sleeping in my bed. Now they fix that real quick, but
he gets his old bed back, but like his friends are now all taller than him.
Oh, right. Cause he's been in the pod for 5 years and he needs time to like get his muscles doing what they would do. He's been suspended and everything's progressed beyond him. Yeah. So I think they do a good job of making this kid menacing, but fairly. Like he's not a bad kid.
Yeah.
He does mischievous things that anyone feeling replaced or threatened in their family role would. I don't know. I think they handle it right. He's a little shit sometimes, but he's been through a lot.
Yes, exactly. And these are like kind of normal shitty brother things to do. It's not like you're a fucking robot and I want you dead.
Right.
And when the other kids at the birthday party start turning on him, he gets a little defensive.
Yeah,
like leave him alone.
Yeah. Yep. And he would have defended him further. It had the tragic, crazy thing that happened afterward didn't happen. I mean, you can see that like there's probably a reality where they would have been fine. If the parents, just like anything else, right? This is a pool party. There's no reality in which there shouldn't be a parent per kid around the pool. It's just stupid. This is the future. In the future, there shouldn't even be pools. You know how many kids die in the summer? Like someone died this summer, Inside Out, I think. I'm just saying, we don't live there. That's not where we live. That kid is being punished. The kid being David is being punished for the mom and dad not paying attention.
Specifically when Martin has his swimming pool birthday party. Yes.
And the kids are like poking and prodding at David. That should have been put into right when that was happening. And then a kid goes and tries to see if David has pain sensors or DOS or whatever, something to let him know when like whatever it is that a person like that would need to like not stick their hand in a fire and melt their very expensive outer skin. And he does, and he hugs Martin and he says, please say, he's got this impulse to be saved. Please, Martin, save me. Please, Martin, save me. And he accidentally falls in the pool, but he's stuck in this clinch. And so, I mean, he's accidentally drowning a real child who just got out of a 5-year coma. So it's fucked up. But like all of that should have been shut down the moment those big kids got out of the pool. I'm mad at the adults. They make the kids look so, or the kid look so menacing, and it's like you weren't fucking paying attention. There's more shots of this mom leaving the room than there are of her like hanging out. This mom is like, check the fuck out. She's been through a lot of trauma and clearly has had no therapy.
But the kid, David, is like such a convincing child that you're like, I don't need to pay extra attention.
No. At the birthday, they should have been paying attention, not extra. Per kid in that pool, I want an adult.
These are like 12 or 13-year-old kids.
That's who dies, Matt.
And David goes into the bottom of the pool. They pull Martin out and then just leave David.
They leave David.
At the bottom of the pool. Sad. You see up from out of the pool from David's perspective, just the permanent divide between him and the human world.
Right.
And
they're just out of reach.
This thing that will always separate us. I can literally just stay in this pool for the rest of time and I'll be unaffected. There's this thing that divides us. Earlier, there was Pinocchio. This movie is very much Pinocchio, is the recurring motif. The mom reads them the story of Pinocchio that shitty little Martin said, read this to us, Mom, because David will realize he's Pinocchio. He's not a real boy, just like Pinocchio's not a real boy. And then also he asks David, hey, go creepily cut a snip of Mom's hair while she's asleep. She'll love you even more. So he does, and she wakes up and sees David with the scissors, and then her husband sees and he's like, he's trying to kill you. And he starts shaking him. Why did you do that? Why did you do that? And the mom screams, you'll hurt him. You'll hurt him. You'll break him. And when he hears you'll break him, that's when he stops. He's got that dad. All dads are afraid of breaking things. Also of losing his job. But he's never seen David as a person. He sees him as merchandise. So Monica has decided, gotta return David to the facility for destruction. So she has like sort of this pre-breakup moment with David. She's like, hey, tomorrow, let's go for a drive in the country. Just you and me and Teddy. And he's just like so excited. This is all he wants, just time with his mom. She decides while she's driving to the cryo slaughterhouse facility, decides I can't murder him. Hey, let's go and have a picnic in the woods.
Let's go 1 mile away from the place that'll be definitely hunting for you. And to these woods, don't go that way.
She tells him like, yeah, don't go that way. Nailed it. Got it. Yeah, she's not a great planner. But like, yeah, she goes out into the woods. The woods look very artificial. Man, I swore there was a line in this movie where they explained that the trees are all fake. And I don't know where I got that, but I'm like, there's lots of deleted stuff in this screenplay, I know.
Okay. Yeah, you must have watched some like extra features or something. Because it also sounds like piped in bird noises. Like the forest is just a little too jungle-like. It doesn't really make sense in the place that it is. Like, it seems like they're kind of like trying to recreate maybe some stuff that like went underwater.
It would be totally in keeping with this movie for that to be the case. It's just weird that they never say it because like these trees look too fake for it to be crazy. Like just bad production design. Like,
right.
And for a Spielberg or a Stanley Kubrick movie, there would never be something like every choice is deliberate. She tells him, in my memory, she just leaves him and doesn't tell him that she's breaking up with him. And that's why he's so devoted to her. It's like, no, she just made a mistake. But no, she tells him, I can't be with you anymore, David. Sorry. You'll never see me again. And it's so upsetting. So sad. He's like, please, I'm sorry. Henry doesn't like me. And I'll be real. I'll be a real boy. If I get turned into a real boy, well, then can I come home? And he gets it in his mind that he can go find the blue fairy like in Pinocchio and be turned into a real boy.
I do find it really moving how upset she gets and that she like kind of throws him off of her and she says, I'm so sorry I didn't tell you about the world, and then gets in because her last thought is, oh my God, there's so much things you can't do out here. This is probably not the safest thing for me to do. Bye. She just kind of realizes all of a sudden like, oh, he is fucked no matter where I take him. Adieu. She's tortured by it.
Even if she'd kept him at their house, they still hadn't properly prepared him for the world.
Well, but she didn't need to when he was a pet, when he was a doll like that. And that's why why ever tell him like, hey, you're kind, they're hated. People hate you. That they're living in their like elite. That's why the people at the Flesh Fair are like clearly poor people and people in a lower class system. It's these ones who can afford the latest make and model and whatever. they might think they're superior, but they still like having their things around. It's different for them there. Okay, now we meet Jude Law, who is just, God, his movement. He's Gigolo Joe. He's a lover robot, and he's just so amazing at this. Like I can't figure out like what's really him. The movements he does, he seems to be like lighter than air. He effortlessly flows just in and out of scenes. It's hard to explain it. He's Fred Astaire. Fred Astaire didn't have gravity.
He studied Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly to be able to move like this. And it's clearly like this robot is programmed to
he clicks.
Be a little dapper, little song and dance man and have sort of a very old gentleman's charm. But he's designed to be a sex robot for
whoever.
Yeah.
I don't think he gets to choose.
That's
he seems
true.
specifically for women, but of this time, that makes sense.
And it seems like women who maybe are married and are in bad relationships.
Yeah, those are the two you see.
We see Paula Malcolmson from Deadwood, Trixie from Deadwood. And you pointed out as he's explaining, like, I never get tired. I'll never stop performing for you. And you pointed out, like, boy, the men in this movie must hate that these exist. And then the very next scene is we see that a man has killed his wife because he's jealous of her affair with Gigolo Joe. And we see when Gigolo Joe starts to kiss Paula Malcolmson, we see his little medallion has like an Uber driver flash, like your next assignment has come in.
Right.
And you pointed out that's like Uber or DoorDash.
Because you accept it or you don't. And he clicks on it to say, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could let you know this is in your proximity. Yeah, I'll be done here. Click.
Good little anticipation of future technology. Gig work. Gig work is coming.
Well, and the idea that at gig work, it would be up to you to take it or leave it.
Yeah, so we see this weird robot city. It fucking rules. This movie's a triumph of production design. Great. And just, I mean, again, imagine not knowing anything about this movie and it's 53 minutes in and suddenly you see this brand new character in this totally different environment. What is happening?
I do not know. That's what lets you know you've been living in a bubble with these privileged people.
Yeah. Joe goes to another hotel room to fuck a lady named Samantha, but she's dead. And then he's like, uh-oh, she's dead. And then her husband comes out and he's like, well, what do you know, Joe? And Joe realizes he is going to be blamed for the murder of this woman.
So you know what this town is like? It is like in the movie Civil War, the A24 one. Yeah. When you go to the town that seems untouched by it, that they're just kind of living this dreamland, to be born there and then for the first time leave it would be the experience of Haley Joel's character. I mean, David. If he were to stay with that couple forever, he'd have no idea that the world were actually like this. Completely different. They're stuck in time. They have suburbs and pools and drive to their jobs. Every other place you visit in this world are like buried under rubble and water and our cities. Everything's Vegas. Everything's the woods. Everything's dangerous.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the world is like that now, though, in a way. I mean, if you had never left your suburb and then went to New York City or went to Tokyo or something.
I think, but there are people who are in the higher echelons of society who live in all of those places. So there's places for those people in those towns and then places for everyone else. And these other places you're seeing besides the perfect neighborhood place, there's only the seedy. Rouge City is not for wealthy people, not wealthy upright citizens. The city that we see here is not for people like the couple who get the robot boy. It's just interesting. We have like no whiff of that. There's not like any news on in the background saying like, oh, another murder today in Rouge City or another robot goes, like there's not any propaganda happening because that wouldn't serve the rich people who they want to sell these robots to. Right. So they can't be demonizing in these bubbles the creatures they're creating, but the rest of the world is just a wasteland for all of these things that they made, all these versions of these things, these decrepit things that are just never going to go away. It's basically like a plastic bottle island, or like the things in the middle of the sea that just collect our garbage that are going to live until the end of time. Everything is that, but you have to protect the people who will keep buying Dasani from seeing it.
Ghost acreage is what that's called, I believe.
Okay.
The idea that your consumption is like creating, or is the cost of it is a world you will never see. The reason your t-shirt costs $8 is because in Indonesia there's a factory of kids whose lives are a misery.
Right.
But it's important that you get to keep your shirt only costing $8 because $10 would be unacceptable.
That's why our news does not feature the conditions of Indonesian child labor factories. Our commercials instead have Old Navy commercials. I mean, it's right. Things are pumped to our eyeballs that are being marketed to us, and the rest is we never see.
The next movement of the movie, which is centered on the flesh fair, suddenly it's attended by all these people who are certainly coded as like, oh, these are the bumpkins or the rednecks or just the red state conservative people.
They're the forgotten people. Mm-hmm. They have enough means to go do this thing, they have the money to spend on something social and something they care about, right? It's someone who would attend a Trump rally. These aren't people with no means. These are people who do not get handouts, who do not get the benefits of whatever you get when you're at the lowest of the low, but you also will never reach the high.
And they're specifically mad at robots for having displaced them. And up until now, you've gotten the sort of pro-corporate viewpoint that what we're doing by creating these mechas is good. We're fulfilling a need that people have. And what we've done as a consequence is destroyed huge, industries. We've taken away people's ability to make money and to define themselves. And there's just so much going on with all of this. And
there's like 3 movies in one.
Yeah, and this is all we go back to David in this in the woods that really look like the ET woods, and the ship up in the sky that really looks like the ET ship being piloted by Brendan Gleeson.
It's literally a moon.
Yes,
just like an ET.
Yep, he has the ET moon on this like dirigible thing, and he's looking for mechas, just like scraps that he can scoop up and bring to the flesh fair and sell to the flesh fair.
And the flesh fair is just all these different creative ways of destroying what's replaced the people who are attending. So any kind of robot will do, but the better the make, the bigger the destruction, because it's not a completely broken robot yet. Ooh, that's even better.
And I love that, like, of course, America would even do a bad job of taking care of its aging robot population.
That's what I mean by the water bottle island, is that we just put it in a wasteland or whatever, we don't deal with littering and stuff. I'm saying we just keep producing it and producing it and producing it and pretend that a whole like ecosystem isn't building up around it and under it because of it. There's like new fish species living under this thing.
Yeah.
Like a new algae or whatever. But that's a world into itself, and I've got no business there.
These robots are literally building shanty towns and stuff, and when Brendan Gleeson dumps like scraps into the earth, and all the robots come out because they're like, oh, good scraps, because they all need replacement parts. Right. But this is how he traps them, and he just scoops them up. I didn't
notice that part, but that makes sense.
And this is how they get both David and Jude Law and Gigolo Joe. And
this is how the bad guy, or the flesh fair guys.
Yeah, Brendan Gleeson. And there's like a little sequence where like some Batman Forever glow stick motorcycle guys chase them. It's like the one part of the movie I don't like.
That makes sense. It's a practical, cheap way and menacing way to collect what you need. Motorcycles quick.
Oh, yes. I just mean like this is maybe one too many visual elements. Like you're Jackson Pollocking at the screen with all your little visual ideas.
All right.
How about we have glow stick motorcycle guys? But yeah, they get taken into the flesh fair. We get to meet some of the other discarded robots, like the nanny bot who's still programmed to want to be a nanny, and she wants to nanny David.
That's why the idea of a company saying they can destroy a robot is like so soothing to me. That's why anyone wants to get shot in the head over taking pills or slitting their wrists for suicide. I want to know I'm gone in the briefest of moments.
And how bleak it is to think, yeah, they can do that, but they don't even bother to do it. They're just going to leave so many out there.
Well, and these are just discarded machines that had a very specific purpose, and like it broke. So they're just like, bye-bye. I don't even know how you would do it. You just shut your door one day and tell the nanny she can't come back?
I guess so.
I don't,
Yeah, if every iPhone we've ever owned was sentient and had a soul, And you're supposed to dispose of your old iPhones at the kiosk at the store, but you're like, fuck that.
Like you crack the screen and then you throw it away, but then that iPhone still exists for all eternity and you can't see.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just down there.
It's going to kill us one day because it is broken as fuck.
Just down there despairing.
It's one roll.
At this flesh fair, the industrial band Ministry is playing, and this is kind of like the demolition derby scene from Cars 3. It's also
the Coney Island or the Lost Toys Island or whatever, right? Coney Island,
Island of Misfit Toys.
That's it.
Oh, you're thinking of Pleasure Island.
Okay, yeah. Whatever it is, it feels very Pinocchio.
Yeah.
They make a specific point to show Coney Island later in the movie.
Mm-hmm. This is, the whole movie's obviously been very fairy tale.
The whole time I was like, why are they having the mom talk like this? Is that because she's so disconnected and just doesn't have a lot to say? She's in her own world. And then I was like, at the end, once they have the blue fairy talk, I'm like, oh, they made her talk like the blue fairy the whole time. No, can you just go and get me something so... Like, I can't even give you a good example, but the mom does not talk
I know
what
you're saying. In the specific thing when she's doing her perfume, yeah.
Yes, and why do you worry so?
Mm-hmm.
It's also like celestial and like other dimension like and angelic and the celestial, what I mean.
And certainly if you see this whole movie is a fairy tale being told by a robot 2,000 years from now. But even the mom like letting him out and being like, go that way. That's like such a fairy tale thing. Is like it's a Snow White. Snow White was supposed to be killed by the huntsman and said he set her free. Yeah.
Yeah, but because you couldn't do the humane thing of killing her. How did you know she was going to find lovely dwarves to help her like live? She could have been mauled by beasts and it could have taken hours. You could have just
so much worse.
Chopped her fucking head off like you were told to do, you pussy ass bitch.
Lacey's very pro killing in this episode.
Because it is the humane thing. She should have taken him. She could have taken away 2,000 years of suffering if she just would have let this kid be destroyed.
Why are any of us alive?
I don't know, Matt, but I don't want to live 2,000. You think it was worth him living 2,000 years to have that ending?
I understand not wanting to murder somebody. I think even if they weren't going to dispose of him, but we're just going to erase his memory, even that's a form of murder.
And I'm saying that it is a fucking immoral, shitty, no backbone fucking position to take. If you do not want this thing in your life anymore, the humane thing is to kill it. That huntsman should have chopped her head off. He had no way of thinking or knowing that her life was going to be fine. She had way more fucking chance of getting raped by a moose.
Yeah, I get, there's no way to deprogram him from her. So, yeah, I'm trying
to think of an analogy of a thing that can only do one thing. And I can't, Roomba? No, I don't know why I can't think of like a great...
There's this metaphor of what it's called as gray goo, of these nanobots that you program to just like eat the universe.
What?
And the gray goo is what would be left at the end of the universe when there's nothing left but gray goo because they've eaten all the matter.
Yeah, they eat themselves. What do they do?
Yeah. But they just eat themselves and just eat smaller and smaller bits because they get eaten and then in turn eat the small.
Stop.
Yes, it's fucked up to think about. But when you have this single-minded program of all I can do is accomplish my mission.
It's just Mario running over and over again into the wall. Just I'm supposed to go this way. Supposed to go this way.
Yes.
Supposed to go this way. Supposed to go.
Yeah, as someone you hate eternity. It freaks you out. This is not good. So yeah, there's Ministry's playing at the Flesh Fair. I love the Flesh Fair. Teddy has been separated from David. Somebody picks Teddy up and they're like, put it in the lost and found. And this person's carrying Teddy, and Teddy's like, are you taking me to David? Where is David?
One track mind.
And he sounds so much like Hal from 2001.
Yes, I knew he sounded really familiar. He sounds too grown up to be a kid's toy.
Yep. Yes, he sounds so old. But earlier in the movie, Martin's like,
reason he gets powered up and like has a change of voice. Hi, I'm Teddy. Is what you expect.
Yeah, his voice box is aging.
Right. Oh, like Toy Story 4.
Yep.
This movie has a ton in common with the Toy Story idea. Just these plastic things we create, not ever even considering that they could have a mind of their own or have feelings about what it's like to be mass produced this way.
And what other movies about AI and robots do you see the idea, which would of course happen, is they stop working as well as time goes on? like you buy an iPhone and 1 year later you can't charge it anymore, or its battery lasts way
it's
shorter.
The creators that, even because of greed and capitalism, make their own products obsolete. Not thinking about the products, but thinking about the fact that they want consumers to rebuy them again. All the while, these perfectly good products could work just fine if they would make an operating system that got updated for them. But they just decide, no, come 2000 whatever, this phone will no longer work for any of the updates. It's a choice.
Yeah.
They're choosing to make these things that are fine go obsolete. But obsolete doesn't mean dead or destroyed.
It's still there. It's still got a soul. It still feels. So the Flesh Fair is
Trump just named a vice president.
Who?
JD Vance.
Oh my God.
Who is that? Sounds like a fucking used furniture salesman.
He's the guy who wrote the book, Hillbilly Elegy.
Oh God! Have you listened to If Books Could Kill on that?
No,
you need to.
Okay, I would like
you
to.
You would love it.
In stupid 2017, when I was a stupid little resistance lib,
you need to listen to that episode.
I listened to the audiobook because he was like an anti-Trump.
You would love this podcast. You will, after you listen to that one, you're going to listen to every single other one.
I've listened to it. If Books Could Kill, check it out, everybody. JD Vance,
friend of the cast.
I mean, what a fucking weasel. This guy made, super popular on the lecture circuit. All the people that we work with are like, you got to check out this book. It's so insightful into the forgotten men and women who go to the Flesh Fair.
Right.
And he has this insight. He's like, they're killing the robots because the coal mines disappeared. And
if only we gave them more coal mines.
And then Ron Howard adapted his fucking book into a movie that got nominated for an Oscar for Netflix.
Of the same name?
Yeah, Hillbilly Elegy. They just made it into a scripted drama, and Glenn Close played a stupid mom who was like, I'm a coal lady.
I remember it now.
And then JD Vance got sick of all of that, and he's like, I'm going to pivot to liking Trump now. And now he's the vice president. He's going to be the vice president in 6 months. This is awesome.
Snake oil salesman.
So Brendan Gleeson is the runs.
You've said this 3 times. Brendan Gleeson, you love him so much. He's like your favorite.
He's one of my favorite
actors. I know
actors.
He is.
Very much.
As soon as I saw him, I was like, yeah.
Make sure that we see some non-humans down there. The Flesh Fair, though, it's unclear what his job is, because he seems like he both goes out and gets the scraps, but then also kind of runs the Flesh Fair, because at some point
it's his creation. He's like the founder of the Tea Party, only the Tea Party has like a lot of activities. It seems entirely his. I mean, for him, it's an ideology, and he's passionate about it, and he's a preacher. It is his job to continue to stoke the flames. He's getting all these things for free. He's rounding up all these parts, and all he's paying for is the stuff it takes to like destroy them in that band or whatever. So like he's making all this money on all these people's anger. So he's got to keep fueling this anger, or his little machine he made will not make any money anymore. So it's like, is he a true believer in what he's saying, or like, no, like I need these people to hate this child?
So you're saying, yes, he's not a true believer. He's like,
I don't know.
It's worth it for me because so what happens is they get Haley Joel Osment, they take him to the Flesh Fair, and this little girl sees him, and he's like, that's not a robot, that's a fucking kid.
Boy, right?
And then the people who work at the Flesh Fair are like scanning, like, no, it's a mecha, but this is the most advanced mecha because this is a prototype. We don't know yet that these kinds of mechas exist.
It would make no sense for this kind of model, an expensive thing, still in trial phase, not even on the market yet, to have gone to the Flesh Fair. Is like the bot. It's what they scrape from the bottom.
Yeah,
it's homeless people. It's people in their last. They need to take stuff off a truck. They're desperate.
It's the scraps versus we found a brand new Ferrari, and it's a Ferrari that doesn't exist yet.
Right.
And they're like, well, obviously we can't just go put it out there to be chainsawed. And Brendan Gleeson's like, fuck that. I'm taking him out there. And you're saying it may be because he's like, I see a golden opportunity to really, really rev up the crowd and get attendance way up.
I think he might see an issue of, so his own employee wants to save the boy from the cage, even though the employee understands that's a mecha. It's like, okay, if my own fucking employee wants to rescue this thing, no, this is exactly why this thing needs to be put on show, and I need to passionately explain to all of my followers, this is the problem, and they're going to pull at your heartstrings. The better and more advanced they get, and it'll all just replace you even further, even your children, and it doesn't work.
No, because he goes out there and he's like, look, everybody, look at this abomination. And the crowd is like, no, that's a real kid. Like,
even though they know it's not.
They know, but they're being fooled too. It's this cognitive dissonance of.
It's a hard wiring to protect your young. You can other an adult. You can an adult robot can have like ulterior motives, but a kid that's scared, it goes against all of our hardwiring.
So they turn on Brendan Gleeson. I wrote in my notes they would start a woke fair today, and you could put your company's DEI officer in a dunk tank.
Okay.
You could throw a pie at a TikTok influencer.
How would you get those people to the fair?
They need money.
Under what?
You capture them. You put what would you put down in the ground to lure them out?
Lawsuits.
What do Zoomer TikTokers love?
I have no idea.
Like, ooh, scrap metal.
Subscribers.
You dump subscribers. You dump likes and subscribes down into the ground, and they all
Or
run
just
out.
money, and they're covered in like something sticky, and it's like,
No.
wait, but then you're paying them. Now you're losing your profits.
No, you take it all off.
Oh.
And yeah, you can dunk them. You can pour acid on them. You could cut off their heads in Minecraft. So at this point, David reunites with Gigolo Joe, and Joe.
He was never apart from him.
Oh wait,
Gigolo Joe.
You're right,
The nanny
sorry.
the nanny is taken and destroyed. So he then starts holding hands with. David is programmed for paternal or maternal safety.
seek out a protector.
To seek out the thing that's most likely to protect him, and so he just kind of picks Gigolo Joe
Because he's there, and he like the way that they bond. The signal for their bonding the rest of the movie is they hold hands.
Yeah.
And Joe, as they just sort of their programming is just sort of compatible. He's like, yeah, I'll protect you, but also kind of uses him like Cal from Titanic. I have a child to get out of this.
Yeah, it starts off as that, right? But then it evolves.
Yeah, they get out.
Cal does not evolve.
They escape.
That
together.
child disappears.
We don't know. We don't know how that child turned out. That child may have loved Cal.
Okay.
Meanwhile, we check in with William Hurt. This is where we find out that the real David was his kid, and he's building a new David. And that's always, hey, that's totally good and normal.
That's
totally
I'm saying. They
okay.
should have never funded this fucking project.
Hey, it seems like this new robot we're building is exactly like your dead son.
Who you keep a shrine to, and on your office, the one you work from while you're creating this project, wall to wall, in memory of David.
But that's why I'm saying he only hires people and allows people to work there who are totally buy in and think that's okay and cool.
Okay, but that lady didn't buy in 20 months ago, and there she is standing right there in the war room.
No, she's designed. She's her job is to raise reasonable objections that he can bat down, and she's like, I did it. I just want to point out. They say we spotted David. He's at a flesh fair outside Haddonfield. Haddonfield. That's a Halloween reference. It's got to be like that's not an accident.
I don't know what the fuck that is.
Haddonfield, Illinois, although this is Haddonfield, New Jersey. And okay, so it's like this is the only time we check in with William Hurt again until the end of the movie. But it's like, okay, they have eyes on David. To what extent do they know where he is?
Well, and you don't realize yet that this is a big experiment.
I think it becomes an experiment at this point.
Right. Like, let's just see what happens.
Joe and David start talking. David's like, I got to find the Blue Fairy. And Joe's like, I know where the Blue Fairy is. Or I know how we can find her. We go to Rouge City and we'll ask Dr. No. There's nothing he doesn't. And he'll tell us how to find the Blue Fairy. We just need to get there. And so they hitchhike with a bunch of teenagers, including Adrian Grenier. And he's like
this the whole time.
It's the dumbest fucking face. So
he's cute.
So, I think that this Adrian Grenier, the guy from Entourage, I think might be like the number one choice of the most people for actor you hate or like who has a face you want to punch. Is this guy?
I don't agree.
No,
I don't want to punch him.
What about when he dumps Anne Hathaway in The Devil Wears Prada and he makes a delicious grilled cheese for her and then she doesn't eat it?
Nope.
What about then?
No, don't.
All right. Well, they go to Rouge City, and Rouge City looks even fucking cooler than Robot or whatever the city was at the earlier.
They don't say, or I didn't hear.
Robot City. Rouge City in the Joel Schumacher Batman, like it goes on overdrive because the bridges are just giant statues of women's
with their
open mouths.
Hair being pulled back and they're
And I love that
they all say as they go in. It's just like a tunnel when you gotta everyone hold your breath.
Love it.
Yeah, it's good.
Love it. And they go into the town. This is a Las Vegas town or whatever. And they go to see Dr. No. And Dr. No is just an animated Robin Williams. Spielberg reuniting with his old buddy Robin Williams after Hook. And when Spielberg was producing... with
a little mixture of Bingo Dino DNA. There's a splash of Jurassic Park in this.
Sure. And I could not find who animated this guy. I tried hard.
It's just Robin Williams. That's his actual...
He just manifested
That's him without makeup.
He when Spielberg was making Schindler's List, he was in a very dark place, and he said he would talk to Robin Williams on the phone and he would get cheered up. So this is the only other time they worked together. Well, but Dr. Kano, No with a K, will answer questions. And what I love is Gigolo Joe's been really building up Dr. No.
He's just a fucking
arcade
machine.
game. Yes.
Right. And one that will try to get your money and not really answer your questions.
Yes.
Like a genie when you've got wishes and they're like, that was a wish.
And they are asking the literal genie. And
true.
But like Joe thinks that because like Joe's sort of that too. Like he's just a sort of iteration of a love tester. So he like admires him like, oh, this guy's good. We'll go
they don't
talk
have
to
the
him.
internet yet, Matt. So I mean, this guy's just the internet.
There's nothing.
That's all he is.
I know. And Joe's
He's
like,
Jeeves.
There's nothing more valuable than information, which I would say in our world, there's nothing less valuable than information.
We couldn't have known that.
No. But I do love that like most of his answers are just sponsored search results. Mm-hmm. Where can I find Blue Ferry? Blue Ferry escort service at 99 Park. But they ask him a specific question and it gives him this quote from Dr. Hobby's book and directs them to Dr. Hobby's office in Manhattan. And we'll find out later that this was deliberately programmed by Dr. Hobby because it's a little weird. Like, wait, how did that question lead him to saying that very specific answer? But this is all by design.
Man is playing God. But
And
it's all just a hobby.
And Joe's like, I have concerns about this, David, because you're talking about like believing in magic, and that's something that humans do. And I'm not a human, and humans are bad. He has his great quote now. And so they're going to go their own way. But then Joe gets arrested for the murder, and then Haley Joel breaks him out, and then they get into the helicopter and go to Manhattan. Yes. And Manhattan is underwater. I mean,
very Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
And
Kim Stanley Robinson's novel, New York, what is it, 2198 something? But that's literally the premise of that book is like, this is a New York City where it's half underwater, but the top half still exists.
They never talk about Louisiana being underwater, which by the way would be the first, like Venice, even Venice. Like, bitch, that thing's made of water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what about Louisiana? That's going first. Can we at least get a mention?
No, nobody gives a shit. Anyway, just check out that book if you haven't. That guy writes what's known as cli-fi, climate fiction.
Ooh.
So like very, very realistic seeming. You're like, yeah, that would be what it's like to be in New York City, but you have to take a boat everywhere.
It's such a valuable city that even the top half of things is still real good.
But like, I think that's how it would be. Like, I think we are just
know how mold would spread? It's water.
They'd figure out a way. That real estate's too valuable.
It's not bustling, but all right.
But for some reason, this is where their fucking office is.
That's true.
Is in Manhattan. And they get there, and William Hurt is like, I've been waiting to see you, David. No, first David sees that there's another David there.
Oh, I know why it's there. Because it's away from other robots. Robots go there to not come back. That's why they call it Manhattan. So maybe something about the water makes it not accessible to other bots. They wouldn't have a reason to go. It does seem like they are specifically keeping this area human only. It's with all the different, he's like, what are you made by? This. He names like 6 companies that make these things. Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'd have to be so aware of the technology you're slowly getting to a point that even the people who make them aren't totally sure who's a robot. They have a scanner. You just have to be paranoid all the time that you're surrounded by.
So they set up their headquarters here because you're not going to run into other robots.
I don't know. It's just like we're guessing. This is like
I like it.
We guess.
I like it.
All right, cool. And I think it's for secrecy.
William Hurt comes in after David goes insane and destroys the other David. You can't have her. I'm special. I'm unique. You fucking suck. I'm going to kill you. And then he does. And then William Hurt comes in and he hugs him. He's like, David, I'm so glad you're here. You're so special. We've been monitoring you. It's been a test. We've been giving you like this sort of Turing test to see how far you could go on your own. The only time we intervened was when we hacked into the Dr. No thing and told you to come here, but you did it. You did it, David. And David's like, what? I don't know.
I committed crimes. People could have been killed.
But I love this scene because this is kind of like talking to God and realizing God doesn't care about what you care about. Like,
Right.
I don't believe in God at all. But I think that the God I could most plausibly believe in is a God who either, 1, made us by mistake and then doesn't even know that we exist, or 2, made us and then lied about why he made us.
We are the water bottle island.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And he's like, no, don't you see what an amazing accomplishment this is? And he's just like not even speaking this kid's language. They're just talking about two totally different things that they care about.
You've given me one goal and that goal is killing me, but you're excited that you made me this way.
And you want me to be excited for you? Like, oh, good job. So
I'll stay and meet the whole team.
yeah, he's like, come meet the whole team. We're having cake and everything. And instead, David drops off the building very sadly into the water.
But he sees something while he's down there. But just before he can go explore it, Jude Law grabs him with the claw thing from the helicopter and brings him back up.
Yes. And he must have seen very far because
it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Well, and so begins the I think the path to get where the ending eventually gets, but I just feel like there are so many goodbyes. Or I don't know. He says, he lets go of Jude Law here. You don't know that. You don't know he's going to be trapped in a car for 2,000 years once he gets into that helicopter that can also be a submarine.
Mm-hmm. The amphibicopter.
I don't know. Maybe I'd appreciate it more on a second watch, knowing where it's going. But
let's talk our way through it. Haley Joel goes up to the surface. I saw her, Joe. I saw the blue fairy. And Joe's like, oh, that's great. Let's get back down there, get back in the amphibicopter. But then the cops come and they pick up Joe. Uh-huh. And Joe's like, I'm going. I'm good knowing you. Goodbye. I love you. Mm-hmm. And then he presses the button to submerge. So now they're parted for good. And David and Teddy in the amphibicopter go back down under the water, go to find the blue fairy, which it turns out is in this Storyland unlicensed non-IP
thing in
park in Coney Island. That is an adaptation of Pinocchio, and there's a statue of the blue fairy. And so they just sit there in front of the statue, and David says, please, blue fairy, make me real. But their piloting down there caused the Ferris wheel to fall down on them and trap them. And then Teddy has the great line, we are in a cage, because life is a cage and being human is a cage. And sitting here pleading to a statue that has no feelings towards you at all is a cage. Mm-hmm. If you think your solution is this thing and it's the only thing you can conceive of as being your solution, you've put yourself in a cage. And yeah, 2,000 years pass. He just gets stuck down there. He's used a fictional story to build his life around the way some people build their lives around Star Wars and Marvel and Steven Spielberg movies. It's like,
who?
There's this, I think this is sort of Spielberg commenting on like, I make movies for a living. And he said like, I make movies instead of going to therapy. And like movies are so important to him that there's nobody for whom movies are more important than Steven Spielberg, but he's like recognizing like, but art is not life.
It's escapism.
It can make life really worth living, but ultimately it is a way to distract yourself from your actual life. Mm-hmm. And that is like David in this movie just totally devoting himself to this fictional story. And yeah, people think that the movie should just end here with him in the water staring at the statue.
Well, that's because those people are having a hard time understanding why the actual ending is a different lesson than the one they would have learned from that. And you do need to think about it. And I didn't think of these aliens that we see later as robots. Did they ever call themselves robots?
They do. They say they knew living people. They make that separate. Like these are post biological entities, which in like people who theorize about extraterrestrials will say like one possibility is they're not going to be alive. They're going to be artificial intelligence. And in fact, that may be the only way you'll be able to traverse interstellar. You
notice how the way that they look is the cryogenic symbol.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the way that when we first see David at the beginning of the movie, when he enters their house, he looks just like them.
He does the light does a trick that happens when you walk into a light.
2,000 years pass, the Ben Kingsley narration comes back. Now the world is populated with the super advanced AI. At first, they look like aliens, but we realize they're not aliens. They're just robots, super advanced robots. And you pointed out that when David is, in the amphibicopter under the water, he's in a suspended animation just like his brother.
Yeah, he gets frozen. Mm-hmm. He has little crispy frozen eyebrows just like Martin did in the pod.
But they wake him up and he doesn't see them. He just sees the blue fairy and he goes out to reach out to her, but she shatters and he's confused.
Right, which is to show you that for him, life did not stop. He might have stopped being able to move, but his goal and his focus stayed. He kept thinking.
Yeah.
That he felt that 2,000 years, where Martin had the luxury of not feeling that 5 years. His consciousness can be shut off when we are the ones thought of as having the consciousness. And what it really is the robots. They can't shut it off. We go to sleep. The first time this movie freaks me out is when he says, I can't go to sleep, but I can lay really still and not make a peep. And it's like,
And yet you love Edward from Twilight.
I don't love him. I just get it.
But he'll do that. He'll lie next to you.
Yeah,
very
he goes
quietly.
and does stuff. He's an adult. He's like traveled the world. He's hot as shit. He can just go do things. This kid is assigned as a well-behaved child. There's nothing more pointless that I could ever think of than a kid that doesn't rebel.
But he does. Okay. I did notice though, like he's not totally perfectly behaved. She's like trying to get his attention and he won't pay attention. She keeps it David, David, David. And I thought like if he were programmed to be perfect, it would be like David and he would just instantly come to attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he doesn't. He has sort of realistic kid behaviors and he's maybe the slightest hint of a mischief maker. But the AIs are super in awe of him because he knew living people. It's sort of like, okay, in 2020.
Like millennials who know things before the internet and after.
I was alive before 9/11 and I remember it.
I was.
But Lacey, in 2020, a woman died and she was the last known widow of a Civil War soldier.
Okay.
Does that blow your mind?
No.
Fuck. Does this blow your mind?
But the last living survivor of the Holocaust, that's same thing, right?
But she was married to someone who fought in the American Civil War from the 1860s.
Okay, yeah, that is fucking crazy.
Of course, she married him when he was 88 years old and she was 17. So, but like, okay, how about this one? And I texted this to Patrick and like, prepare to have your fucking mind blown. And he didn't give a shit. But it was, okay, John Tyler, the 10th president of the United States, was president from 1841 to 1845. Okay, got that. He has a grandson who's alive right now.
So? Wait, a grandson?
A grandson! Of course, he had a child when he was in his 70s, and then that child had a child when he was in his. And yeah, this grandson is like 96 years old, but still.
I can do this math on you as well. I have a best friend who has children who have a grandma that's 44. See, I'm just doing it the other way.
What?
Just doing it the other way, baby.
Oh, but I love this time thing. It's like you were around back then. Can I touch you? What was that like? And they sort of have this. Even though these are super advanced beings, they have this reverential, almost religious awe.
Because they too have been seeking.
For living biological beings. And David wakes up in a 2001 A Space Odyssey version of the house that he lived in with Monica. It's so much like 2001. He even hears something talking to him. But unlike 2001, he actually gets to go and interact with it. And it's the Blue Fairy. But it's not the Blue Fairy. It's just the robots using the Blue Fairy to communicate with him. And eventually they explain to him, we can bring your mom back because you have hair, but there's this thing, the universe will only allow us, the memories of everything that have ever happened are embedded in the fabric of the universe, which I believe is true because the universe is just everything. But our science isn't good enough to keep him alive for more than a day. So you only get a day. And he's like, I'll take it.
Well, it's just like a battery life, right? Like she's so tired she can't keep her eyes open. And that's just her battery drained.
Yes. So basically the choice is yours. We can bring her back and you can get her for one day, or you can not bring her back and, I don't know, wait for us to figure it out better.
Right. Like keep your option open. But he does such a human thing. He doesn't think logically. He thinks, but what if I'm the special boy and she's the special girl? You know, he doesn't do it because he's accepted that the one day thing is true. He's doing it because he thinks maybe that's not true.
Mm-hmm. Which is
a very human thing to do.
I know. Maybe someone in my family won't die in a car accident. Maybe I won't get cancer.
Matt.
Like,
fuck, why'd you have to pick that?
Maybe we'll be different. And so, yeah, they resurrect her. But again, this is like a modified version of his mom. This is the mom who doesn't care about her husband and her other kid. All she cares about is David. And he spends a perfect day with her, making her coffee and waiting on her. And then
birthday cake and whatever.
And he gets to pretend to be a real boy, and she gets to take care of him, and then she goes to sleep, and then he goes to sleep for the first time ever next to him, and then next to her, yes. And then Teddy climbs onto the bed, but rather than joining him, sits at the foot of the bed
because there's always going to be someone left behind. It's nice that these robots are maybe allowing David to finally boot down, power down, whatever, and his sleep might just be manufactured. It might be part of the illusion, right? Like, okay, we'll make him tired, but that's just like us, like draining him a little. And now he can just rest there, and we can still farm everything we need out of his brain, but at least he's content here. He's not going to be a problem.
Yeah.
But then you've still got Teddy, and Teddy's not that important, and he's just left there to sit and watch for 2,000 years. It is so depressing.
Poor Teddy. But like, man, that's what life is. We are telling ourselves stories. But that's why I think people think this is a stupid tacked on happy ending when I don't
think it's happy at all.
No, I know you don't, but you're smart.
That's true.
I think that you do have to kind of examine it, and so what's really happening right here, and what that says about us, and ultimately realize like that is, I guess, what I want too, is I just want the people I love to only care about me and no one else. And please think I'm the best, and please think I'm a good singer and I'm a good podcaster, and please tell me I'm good.
You're good.
So that's why I love this ending. I think that it takes a while to get there, and they are suddenly in the end of the movie dumping a lot of brand new information about the way this world works. And maybe that could be, I mean, maybe Spielberg's not a great screenwriter, and maybe he needed somebody to help him sort of.
Or maybe this movie was already 2.5 hours long, and he realized he needed to get a lot out fast so he could actually get to the ending he wanted. Mm-hmm. I just feel like they do give you 3 endings rather than a more storytelling that leads to an ending.
Yeah.
Maybe there's just not enough signs. But that's the point, right? Maybe we're stuck in an eternity. Like, when is this going to end? It's not.
You feel it.
It's an eternity.
Yeah.
He's a genius.
So I love this movie, and I love that ending.
I said I got frustrated, but I think I got frustrated when I was supposed to. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean I didn't like it once it finalized.
Yeah.
But unless I hop up and I go, that was amazing, you're not fucking satisfied.
No, and I wasn't. I was just
monitoring everything I do and policing the way I watch a movie.
Just because I'm nervous that you're not going to, because the whole premise of the show.
Yes, and it's my job to watch the movie. I know it's my job to watch a movie. Just let me do my job. But stop telling me how to do it. He can't even argue that. I win.
Counterpoint.
Nope.